Warning, creepy videos. Viewer discretion is advised. Posted by you. Not necessarily. Our story is called I Got a Job as Night Security on a Train. I'm gonna die on this train part 3. As soon as I posted the last post, the train stopped at station 8. I realized that at the next stop I would have to get on and off the train. It was also time for another round, so I came out of my security compartment. I looked outside the train doors to check out the station. It was kind of the same as my local station but had no guard booth. How lucky, no one has to work here. My thoughts were interrupted by a fast dark figure that darted into the train. Wait, shit, there was a rule about that. Suddenly I remembered the rule and I quickly scrambled for the upper seating area of the first compartment. I had already found myself a very good hiding spot. I slipped under the seats and held my breath. I heard thundering footsteps walk towards me. I also heard heavy panting, the sounds someone would make after having nearly drowned. I felt something wet near my feet and looked down. I just suppressed my scream as I saw the pool of blood spreading on the ground. It was a mesmerizing deep red color, consistent throughout. The blood was thick and it oozed slowly to spread across the floor. The footsteps then went away. The train doors closed and the train got moving again. I got up from under the seat and there was no pool of blood on the floor like I was hallucinating. I composed myself and decided to continue my round. As I reached the end of compartment 3, I realized that the travel doors to compartment 4 were now enabled again. I pulled out the sharp knife that the train guys had provided me and cautiously walked inside. The compartment was empty. Suddenly my eyes caught on the bloodied seats. I quickly pulled out the microfiber cloth they had provided me and scrubbed the seats. The blood went away pretty easily. As I got out of compartment 4, the automated PA system announced that it was station 9. Big deal. I continued making my way back and realized too late. Shit, the train doors closed and I cringed at what was going to happen next. Then as all lights in the compartments snapped out and all the travel doors locked themselves, I went to the entrance doors and tried to pull them open. They wouldn't budge. I heard low moans in the dark. There were many of them. They rose out from under the seats. Some held weapons and some were barely able to stand. Some were crawling. Then they started speaking. "We died here, you must too." I got desperate and grabbed the fire escape hammer. I smashed the glass of the travel doors. I hit and hit till there was enough of a gap for me to get through. Luckily, the train hadn't started moving yet and so I ran out onto the platform and entered via compartment 3. While I was doing that, one of the zombies grabbed my ankle. Its grip was weak and I pushed away. I would never forget that icy grip. The train was completely normal. I walked back into compartment 4 and there were no zombies. The only proof of what had just happened was the smashed travel doors. At this point, I was in shock and I couldn't really feel anything anymore. I went back to the security compartment. Suddenly I realized that the train was still stopped at the platform. I went into the driver compartment and realized there was no driver. I got into the seat and got the train running again. The train was set to work automatically, so all I had to do was start it up. I rested in the security compartment for the next 15 minutes before my round. I scrolled through Reddit, not even reading anything. I couldn't comprehend the words on the screen. My phone was the only anchor to reality I had. Other than that, it was me, the train and the set of rules. My time was up and I got up for another round. I really hoped nothing happened on this round. I couldn't deal with anything else. I walked out of the security compartment and walked into compartment 1. I heard a faint sobbing and immediately looked to my left. There was a girl in a distinct red dress. She had her face buried in her hands. I immediately looked away. The girl shouted after me, "Have you seen my mommy? Have you seen my daddy? Help me. I'm lost, why don't you help me?" I practically sprinted as her voice turned demonic. And guess what happened? Guess my luck? The lights went out and the train came to a stop. I quickly shifted to the seat closest to me and sat down. I heard the girl's voice again, "I'm coming for you." Then she giggled. It sent chills up my spine. I then also heard soft moans in the dark and felt the same icy grip on my ankle. I shivered and started crying, "Just leave me alone." I stammered at no one in particular. I heard laughs and giggles all around me. They were mocking me, laughing at my despair and misery. Anger surged through my veins. I punched aimlessly in the air, hitting nothing. Suddenly, I felt something next to me on the seat. Millions of bugs crawled up my legs. I screamed for help but no one came. The lights came on all at once. There was nothing on me and no one around me. I quickly got up and went to finish my rounds. I passed through the compartment, checking each compartment. 2 checked, compartment 3 checked, compartment 4 checked, compartment. I realized too late. The travel doors closed behind me. I pounded on the travel doors and swore loudly. I grabbed another fire hammer and smashed the glass windows in the travel doors. I could only fit my hand through those. I hit the door more but the door wouldn't budge. After several hits the metal was barely dented, and then I heard the noises behind me. Posted by you. Not necessarily. Our story is called "I Got a Job as Night Security on a Night Train." This job has changed me forever. Final. First off, I've noticed that you guys are interested in the history of the subway station. Some of you guys have also been speculating why such a job exists. Our local subway station was built in the 1950s. The train station has been the same ever since then, except for a few changes and renovations to adapt to modern technology and trains. The subway station has been closed down many times over the years till the 2000s due to unfortunate incidents. In the 2000s, a new company bought the subway station and promised to manage it properly. There is no information about the company on the web, and it is simply known as the subway management team. After the team took over, nothing has ever went wrong in the subway station. They are probably the ones that invented the rules and hired security guards. I personally think the reason that this job exists to prevent incidents like the ones that happened before, and to also prevent the creatures or whatever is on the subway station and train from entering our world. It is so they remain confined to only these locations and stay there. Which would explain the rules of shooting people coming off the train and stabbing the people coming out of compartment 4 if they come out. Other rules may be to simply protect the guards, such as getting on and off at stops 9 and 13 and not going into compartment 5. Speaking of compartment 5, I barely made it out. I turned around and behind me were the same zombie-like beings. They had excited looks on their faces as they drew closer. They took their time, coming slowly as if to mock me. Suddenly an idea formed in my head. They reached out like they were sleepwalking. I felt claustrophobic as they closed in on me. Their faces and bodies were rotten and grotesque. The smell made me gag. I pulled out my knife and started stabbing and slashing at them. They continued unfazed, hungry for my flesh. I pushed through the crowd to the entry and exit doors at the side of the compartment and hit it with the fire hammer. The glass immediately shattered. My arms and hands shook from the adrenaline. I hit the glass harder and harder. It broke away pretty quickly. Since these doors were mostly glass plastic, I could easily jump through this door without it having opened. The travel doors only had small windows. The zombies were fast to follow and they started running at me. I realized that the train had stopped at some station and I didn't have to jump on the tracks and hurt myself. I leaped out through the gap and landed on the platform. A gunshot whizzed past my head. I realized very quickly that I had indeed jumped off the train at station 13. There was a guard right in front of me with a gun in hand. He was probably just following the rules, thinking I was also a monster. The zombies burst out from the train behind me. The security guard's eyes widened and he shot. The gunshot nearly connected with my head. More creatures of all sorts came out of the train. They were all hideous and otherworldly. Some of them fought each other. Some of them looked around, sniffing for blood. I had just unleashed the whole horde into the subway station. Many of them ran outside the station like crazy, ready to terrorize people on the streets. The security guard shot again. This time he didn't miss. It all happened in slow motion. The shot connected with my arm and blood splattered everywhere. I felt a weird burning sensation on my arm. I was surprised I didn't feel any pain. I watched in shock as blood soaked the whole sleeve of my shirt. Then the pain set in. It hurt like hell. My knees grew weak and I collapsed. As if that wasn't enough, the security guard shot another one. The bullet hit my hip bone. I heard a disgusting grinding and cracking sound. First I just felt shock in my hip and then the pain set in. It was agonizing. The only thing I could feel was pain. I collapsed fully on the ground and passed in and out of consciousness. And then finally, after an agonizingly long time, it all went black. I woke up in a hospital bed hooked up to a bunch of machines and an IV drip. My arm ached and my torso hurt when I tried to move it. The nurses saw that I had woken up and quickly came over. They explained my injuries to me in a blur and told me about the surgeries they had to perform on me. I had been shifting in and out of consciousness for 2 days. It would take me a long time to recover from the gunshots. After a while, serious-looking men in suits appeared. This was definitely some government thing. They offered to pay my medical fees and give me lots of compensation if I kept my mouth shut. I didn't want to be taken away. They didn't explain anything to me and insisted that I forget about it for my own good. My family was also compensated lots and told to not spread anything. Everything was covered up as some sort of accident. The subway station remains closed to this day. The subway management company disappeared and all records of it were gone. The train tracks have been completely closed off and no train would be able to run there. Our small town now usually sees lots of military helicopters in the sky and lots of police cars patrolling. I swear our town has been quarantined as there has been rumors of military trucks on the roads not letting anyone in or out. I've never been able to go into a subway station. Even images of trains send me into hysteria. I have to visit 2 different psychologists every week. Every night I wake up from nightmares that take me back to the subway station, back to the train. Sometimes I wonder, what happened to all the creatures that came off the train?